Hello everyone, this is Tripper, and today we are playing Chivalry Medieval Warfare, and I, Tripper, Head Taker McGee, I don't fucking have a surname, fuck this shit, am going to show you how to play the Sword of War. Sword of War. I make it sound epic, but it fucking is epic. It is quite magnificent. Somebody commented on one of my videos. I forgot your name. I apologize greatly. I'm so terrible with names, especially YouTube names. But, and they were saying how, they were asking which one's better, Sword of War or Longsword. I said, Longsword if you're just starting out, but Sword of War if you want some potential for growth. Basically, if you want to be able to, have a lot of potential variety with the weapon. As in, be able to get better with it as you rank up, perhaps get better with it as your skill level goes up. And it's just such a good weapon for anything and everything. Let me go for some stats. So, these stats obviously are relative, and I posted in another video the actual stat spreadsheet. But anyway, compared to the other swords, the Sword of War has much faster speed. It doesn't look like much, but it is way faster than the Messer and the Longsword. Its damage, however, is a bit lower, as would be evidence. I would say it's on the level of a one-handed sword, honestly. But it more than makes up to that in the sheer speed. You probably see some of the only things I do with this weapon are pokes, because the pokes are insanely quick, especially if you drag them downward like I just did. And I'll be going over some specific tactics on this weapon throughout the video. But first and foremost, like I told the other guy, if you don't have a very good grasp of accelerating drags or basically utilizing weapon range to the best of its ability, I would suggest sticking with the longsword for now. However, even if you think you don't have the best handle of those things, I will tell you this weapon is just objectively better than the longsword, in that it's got way better speed. The reach is actually about the same as the longsword. Longsword trumps a lot of things in range. I would say it trumps this in range, but not by a whole lot. It's really just the speed that makes this thing so good. For a two-handed weapon, the speed is just monstrous. And as you saw, I actually two-hitted this guy. You can't really two-hit vanguards with this weapon, though. I mean, I'm sorry, knights. You can two-hit vanguards. But unlike the other two-handed weapons, you cannot two-hit knights. I'm not sure if you can two-hit knights with the longsword. It's a good question. So, the damage is sort of the downside of this weapon. But the speed, and the range isn't so bad, but the speed is really just insanely good. Especially the ripostes. And I am going to emphasize the ripostes a lot during this video. If you use this weapon, you need to riposte every strike. Riposte. Damn it. Somebody tell me the proper pronunciation. Is it riposte or riposte? I'm going to keep saying riposte until someone corrects me. Like, seriously. But, anyway, you want to be riposte. I'll say riposte from now on. You want to be riposting just about every time you can. So right there, I could riposte. That was convenient. Right there, I riposted. It got him killed. And it's so effective. It doesn't deal extra damage when you riposte, but it gets rid of the recovery. It gets rid of the wind-up time of the weapon. So, you see how the weapon, I have to pull it back. With a riposte, it just goes straight down. Right? There's no wind-up. It's fantastic. And this weapon, its actual damage pattern, as in the speed with which it actually hits the opponent, is so insanely fast. You see there? It's so fast. The wind-up, the speed minus the wind-up is so just inanely fast for both overhead and stabs. So that's what I recommend you guys actually do. You should, if you're using this weapon, you should focus on riposting stabs and overheads. And drag them as much as possible. For example, when I riposte overhead with this weapon, I always make sure I drag downward. Like so. Like, it can even catch people before they bring their shield up. Oh. Really, man? You see? If you do a look-down overhead riposte with this thing, it is so fast. It's just insanely fast. So, that is the thing... that is the thing I would suggest everyone to focus on with this weapon, is riposting every strike with a stab or overhead and accelerating them as much as possible. It's just so insanely fast. Even if you just keep doing it, it's so awesome. Man, yeah, I've been really liking this weapon. And also, should have mentioned this at the beginning, the Sword of War is used competitively by a lot of knights. A lot of high-ranking knights will use this weapon just regularly because it's so good. Its speed and its range, its moderate range, are just so good for accelerated drags, ripostes, and just quickly hitting someone. And I see a lot of high-ranked players using it, and because it's so good. It's just a fantastic weapon. Let's see if we can't think of another specific tactic. Feinting. If you're into feinting, the Sword of War is your fucking weapon, okay? As much as I hate to say it, I know there are some people who really hate feints. I don't like feints. I don't call people dickheads if they use them. I cringe a little bit inside, but I don't consider it all that bad. It's a legitimate part of the game for me. Oh, shit. Okay, I had a little bit of desync there, I think. That's okay, though. But if you're a feinter, then this is a really, really good weapon for you. If you don't like feints, and you fight someone with this weapon, be scared. It's very difficult to beat someone who feints with this weapon unless you're using a dagger. I should know. I spent about an hour this morning fighting someone who only used this weapon. The only way I could beat him is with a dagger, because the ripostes on this thing were so insanely fucking good. How the fuck are you... What are you doing? I don't know how he's hitting me. Oh, shit. Might have been hacking, I think. I don't know. I don't want to say that every time I lose, but that overhead was a little bit too fast. Anyway. So yeah, if you like feinting, this weapon's very, very good as a knight. Accelerated drags in general. If you are forced to take the aggressive position in a duel with this weapon, then accelerated drags will just win you the fight. And your standard rainbows and human whirlwinds will always work. That was a super duper accelerated side swipe. That was gorgeous. Fucking gorgeous. But yeah, your normal tactics, rainbows, human whirlwinds, those are fantastic. Those are much better with this weapon because it's so fast. And as you can see, the poke distance is very good. It's just monstrous. But you can two-hit vanguards very easily. You can't one-hit man-at-arms, I don't believe, with this weapon. It doesn't have that good damage. But again, it's a two-hander. So it's pretty good. I want to see if I can fight this guy again. He's the only guy that beat me. I also want to fight Ren. Oh, Archangel. So it is a very simple weapon. There really isn't too much to it, really. It's just so fast. But it's easy to learn, hard to master. It's one of those. That's why I recommend the longsword to people who are a little bit hesitant as to whether they think they're skilled enough to wield something like this. Oh, man, that riposte speed. Riposte speed. God, somebody tell me which one's right. And what you can do with this thing that is a lot harder for other weapons, it happens only with daggers, other than this weapon, is you can get a tempo going where your opponent thinks you're going to riposte every strike, which you should be doing with this weapon. However, if you get them into a tempo where they're blocking every one of your ripostes, don't riposte once. They will probably panic parry as soon as you block, because he thinks you're going to riposte. But as you can see, you can just get an insane amount of damage done in the very short amount of time that this weapon needs. Kaboom. Rainbow wins the day. Every day. I'm getting challenged by everyone. No, don't fight him. Shit. Oh, fuck. I didn't want to fight an archer. But like most weapons... Oh! That reminds me. Using this weapon one-handed... Using this weapon with a shield. I have seen some people do this. I would not, however, recommend it. Because the wind-up on this weapon isn't particularly long to begin with. So using a shield is just weird. But it is viable. However, something I see some high-ranked players do is this. One hand without a shield. Now, from what I can gather, please tell me if I'm wrong, but from what I can gather is when you go one-handed with a weapon without a shield, I think it makes the weapon a bit slower, but also do a little bit less damage, but also have, shit. I was on a fucking train of thought there. Well, that was easy. I think it has slightly longer wind-up times, but slightly slower actual attack times, if you know what I mean. So if you can riposte with it, I think it's unblockable. Let me test that right here. I don't have many other specific tactics, but this is something I see several high-ranked players doing. Several high-ranked players. Oh, man. What are you doing? Now, as you can see, the poke there was a little bit shorter than usual, I think. Yeah, I think the poke's a bit faster. But as you can see, the wind-up times are much longer. See the overhead wind-up time compared with the two-handed wind-up time? Shit. Compared... I'll show you right now. Yeah, I'll show you right now. So, this is the two-handed overhead. It's much faster than this. But the poke... The poke is fucking insane. It got past his block. It was awesome. I prefer the weapon two-handed just so I can get an extra... get an extra edge in terms of damage and range. I think if you go one-handed, it lowers the range. I believe so. And here's our last duel. I'm just going to go all out right now. It's probably my most organized tactics in a long time. Let's see if we... Ooh, Ren's a good player. You can also drag this thing if you are slow enough. Ho, 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 duck that shit. Gonna go for a riposte. He might get me here. I like people who make it a point to not faint. Oh! That fast rainbow. This thing's rainbow is just fucking monstrous.
You should join the order.
That's very good. That is a really good, like, non-fainting, like, way to do things. You saw how fast that was. It's so crazy. And he gets into a tempo where he will block just as soon as after he blocks, and he'll actually run away. Good fight. Very good fight. That was fun. I like fighting against really skilled dudes. Just to recap. Let's just recap quickly. The Sword of War. I don't even think I said the name that many times. But the Sword of War is a fantastic knight two-handed weapon. It can be used one-handed. However, I suggest using it two-handed just to get the basics of it down before you try out two-handed, which gives it a bit more speed with the pokes, but a little less range and probably a little less damage. I'm not 100% sure about those. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Its strengths are its speed, pretty much. And the damage, however, is suboptimal, but you can make up for that if you know how to deal with it. And the reach is decent. The reach is moderate. I'd say it's on par with the longsword. The longsword's slightly longer. It says it's equal, but I am almost certain the longsword is longer. Called the longsword, for Pete's sake. And I love this weapon. It's used by a lot of high-ranked players competitively. It's a fantastic weapon. And I highly recommend it. So specific tactics, as an overview, would be riposte everything. Riposte everything. And do stab ripostes as much as possible because they are nigh unblockable. Also, overhead ripostes, very, very fast, do a lot of damage. If you accelerate them, they are just amazingly destructive. They're awesome. And if you're a feinter, it's a pretty good weapon for feinting. I hope I taught you guys something about the Sword of War. If I did, leave a like, favorite, subscribe, share it with your frenzies, and comment for any suggestions. This was a suggested tactic, so I read all my suggestions and I make note of them and try to make them in a future video. I shall see you kind people next time. As always, have a grand day. I've been to Ripper, and I am gone. See you guys next time.